Welcome, everybody, to another stupendous episode of the Game Informer Show. That's right, I said stupendous and not stupid, but ultimately it's up for you to decide. I'm your host, Ben Reeves. This is the show where we inform you about games, and I'm joined by a bunch of great guests today. First and foremost, Marcus Stewart.
Hey, thank you for having me on this fine show, Ben.
That's right. Alex Stadnick is here.
Why is Marcus foremost? Well, we can talk about that later. Hello, friends.
Have you seen his foremost? He's been working them out.
That's true. You are looking good these days, my friend.
That's right.
Thank you. I'm feeling like half self-conscious right now.
And the guest with the most for is Brian Shea. How's it going, Brian?
It is adequate.
Oh, no.
Okay, well, hopefully the day gets better for you. Maybe sooner than later, because we're going to talk about some great games on the show. And if you stick around to the end of the episode, we have an interview with Dinga Bakaba and Sébastien Mitton, game director and art director, respectively, for the new Arkane game, Deathloop. It's an exciting game.
Those guys.
Yeah, those guys. We had them on we had the game on our cover a couple months back, and we interviewed both of those guys for that game. Brian, you talked to them a little bit, didn't you?
I did, yeah. They were pretty interesting interviews. I enjoyed my time with them, and I think that game looks pretty neat.
Yeah, it does look neat. We Sebastian, we interviewed him through a translator, so his interview is translated, just FYI. So if you're watching the video version, probably the lip syncing looks really weird. That's because that's not his real voice. But anyway, you talked to both of them about what it's like making the game, how it's been since they delayed the game. It's coming out in the fall now. And just, Dinga tells a story about how he was trying to assassinate a person and foiled by a window curtain. So stay tuned, find out what that story's all about.
In the game,
Or
right?
in real life. That's what I was wondering.
Oh, no, was
Stick
that not
around to
clear?
find
He's
out.
also a part-time assassin?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. At least maybe I misunderstood the interview, what I was talking to him about. Hold on, there's a glint at the window. I don't know where this
Is that a red dot? Hold on, Ben. What's on your forehead?
Hit the floor! Everybody! Dinga's after us! Well, yeah, stay tuned for that fun time. It's a little taste of what's to come. But first, we're going to kick off the show with our playlist. It's where we talk about the games we've been digging recently. And Marcus, I want to start with you, because you've been playing a game that some of us have been excited for, and you crushed all of our hopes and dreams. You specifically.
Yep, that was my intent. So yes, I played all of Biomutant. My review is live on the site over at GameInformer.com. You can check out the video review over on our YouTube channel. And yeah, so this game, the first thing I think of when this game is that, so I went to school for game design. And I remember the very first class there, it was kind of teaching you how to conceptualize a game. And there was a dude in class who stood up, and his pitch for a game was basically, what if someone made the everything video game of, like, he's like, yeah, it's an open world, but it's got like Devil May Cry combat, but there's also a full racing system, but there's also choice-driven gameplay, and there's a morality system, and there are fighting game mechanics. And I remember sitting there and we're like, wow, that sounds cool, but like, how do you bring all that together in like a way that makes sense? And he didn't really have an answer. He's just like, no, it'd be cool because it has all this stuff.
If you look it up in the dictionary, it's called the Star Citizen problem.
Oh, that's what he's doing now. Okay. So he's actually, I guess, doing pretty well for himself.
Yeah, he's got some money. But yeah, I don't think a lot of our listeners know that you went to school for game design. How long were you in the program?
4 years, bachelor's, over at the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale.
And then you were like, I'm done with that. I want to just write about games because that's so much easier.
I literally got to a point where when I first started writing games, I was like, man, I'm bad at programming. I'm going to skip programming classes to hide in the library and write about Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So yeah, that's where I decided to do this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it worked out in the end. But I'm glad for my time there. It was fun. I got to make a game from start to finish. It was hard.
Can people play your game now?
No, it is locked in a little somewhat inaccessible drive in an executable file for Unreal Engine 3. So we could get it running. It would just take a lot of finagling to work.
And that game was called PT.
Oh, yes. Why do you think I'm so disappointed at all times? I'm like, man, Guillermo's still hitting me up. Or like, hey, we're going to make this happen. And I was like, I don't know. I used the pen name Hideo Kojima, but
well, enough enough circling the water here. We should probably dive into Biomutant specifically. And like, to be clear, you didn't love the game totally. You gave it a 6.75. The review's up on the site now.
Yeah.
If people want to read about
I give it a 6.5.
a 6.5. Okay.
6.5,
I was trying
yes.
to be more generous than you were.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us were excited about this game for some of the reasons you mentioned. It's very ambitious. It's done by a very small team, but like it looks like their fur tech looks really good, at least. I think the game demoed pretty well in short bursts, but then when you get to play the whole thing, it sounds like it doesn't quite all come together.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's a big open world game. It's post-apocalyptic. And the idea is that you're in this world that's been kind of inhabited by these mutated, furry, anthropomorphic critters. And you're trying to save the world from a bunch of different threats. Like the main one is that there's a world tree in the middle that gives life to everything, but it's being attacked by these giant world eaters. So it's up to you to stop them. But on top of that, there's a whole backstory with like this dude that murders your family that comes back, and you got to figure out how to deal with this guy. And then there's also a giant faction war taking place all over the world, and you're the person that has to like join up with one of them to either conquer the rest of them or unite them all. And there's a whole arc subplot about like, hey, there's an arc from the before time that can take some of us out of here if the world, goes to hell. And you can only pick.
Arc,
yes, ARK.
Like subplot,
arc.
Yeah.
Survival Evolved. Yes.
That's right.
But yeah, like, hey, you got to pick some of these people to get on your arc. And it's like, okay. And like the main thing with this game is that it does a lot, but none of it feels particularly great or fleshed out. Some elements are better than others. Combat is kind of a mix of gunplay and martial arts-esque style melee. And that feels okay, but I think the targeting system is pretty awful, which makes it annoying because you're zipping around from enemy to enemy when you don't mean to. I think the actual melee stuff feels kind of weightless, and the parrying system is awful. It gets better when you find better weapons, or you can make weapons because there's this pretty fun crafting system. Because a lot of this game is exploring this open world and going into different little villages and dungeons and just digging around for loot, ingredients, and you're combining things together to make customized guns that you can equip with special effects. And that's pretty fun. You can make some pretty devastating weapons, and that's one of the areas of the game that I really enjoyed. Like I would tinker in that menu of like, oh, what's the most powerful shotgun I can make right now based on what I have? And then you can make some strong stuff. Like it's fun just going out and running into a monster that's multiple levels higher than you and just taking them down instantly because you made something that devastating. But then even that stuff feels kind of hollow because you're kind of doing that over and over. Like I'm going to wander into an area that looks more or less the same. There might be some enemies hanging around. You take them out relatively easily in combat that doesn't feel great. And then you just repeat that over and over, because everything funnels around a main narrative core that isn't interesting. So it comes to a certain point of like, yeah, this moment, the moment stuff is enjoyable and it's more fun when I kind of like turn my brain off a bit. But what is it really in service of when like all the main stuff that the game's presenting is like so lackluster? Like the story is barely a thing, really.
Well,
like
you told me something too that I thought was interesting, and I didn't even realize this when I was playing it in demos, but all of the characters talking like this gibberish language.
Yeah, they all speak just, like gibberish. And the entire game is narrated by this kind of like pleasant British guy. Not only does he narrate the story, but he translates all of the characters' dialogue. So he is the predominant voice for like 90% of the game. The only other,
like a David Attenborough style, like he's narrating what's going on in this wild wilderness.
Yeah, not as good as David Attenborough, like kind of like a rung below him, we'll say. Of like, yeah, you like he'll either narrate what's going on in the story, or like because everyone's speaking, he'll just be like, oh, this guy says that he needs you to go over here to find this weapon. And it's not
David?
like he's exactly.
Oh, hi. I didn't know you were going to be on the podcast today, Dave.
Hey, do you need another planet Earth? Has Earth changed enough to warrant another one?
When are you going to release Planet Mars? Come on.
Let's do it.
We're all waiting.
But the problem I have with the narrator, like he's fine, but because he's narrating the characters and not role playing them necessarily, it makes all the characters who look colorful and have personality to them, but you don't really get a sense of their personality when they're all spoken by like one guy with the same general demeanor for every character. And so they all kind of bled together after a while. And even the dialogue feels tedious to get through because you have to wait for the character to speak and then for the narrator to translate.
Oh, they don't even translate it real time?
No,
That sucks.
it literally goes like blah, 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 and they're like, he says that, and you can skip through it, but it's really tricky because the line between gibberish and narration is not as defined as it can be. So times I was skipping, I would skip the whole thing, and then other times it was very clear when you go like, I just want to skip to the narration. And the dialogue can go on for a long time in kind of a in a roundabout way. We're like, why are we still talking about this? Like, it seems like you doubled back to the thing that you just said.
That sounds like a cool artistic choice that just doesn't, like, it needed some play testing, like some people to like look at it with a fresh eye and be like, yeah, this doesn't work.
To me, that sounds like a nightmare. Like, even conceptually, that sounds like, all right, that's cool. If like, I think it would be cool if they did it like, dub style, where like the creature's speaking as gibberish, you can still hear it a little bit underneath, but he is talking at the same time that the narrator is talking. That's what they needed to do.
I think personally it'd be cool if it was dubstep style, where all the dialogue was in dubstep.
Yes, perfect.
It's going to be like
Everyone's-
Reeves.
Everyone beats dubstep. I could get behind that. But yeah, it makes conversations just a huge chore to get through. And like, honestly, I wish either the characters were all just voiced or if they weren't voiced at all, because at least when it's just all text, I can assign my own voices and personality to them. The only other voices you hear,
Legend of Zelda style it. Everybody talks in some language you don't understand, but there's subtitles that you just read.
Yeah, exactly. And those characters still display plenty of personality that you can pick up on. The only other voices you hear are your light and dark side, because like I said, there's a morality system and it's represented by these kind of like little angel and devil on your shoulders that pop up whenever a choice presents itself. And they bicker a lot, and they by default became my favorite characters because it's like, oh, these guys actually have a lot of personality. Like, they're both really kind of petty and they just make fun of each other. Even the light side is kind of a jerk. So I actually enjoyed whenever they would pop up, but they're not like amazing characters. They're just the best by just compared to everything else. But yeah, everything in this game just feels kind of hollow. Like, there isn't much to the World Eater stuff. The boss fights themselves aren't anything special. And if you're playing on consoles, which is a significantly less polished experience than if you're playing on PC, those fights are actually really sloppy because of that.
Like,
and
the
it sucks.
combat's actually different on a console?
It just feels jankier.
Oh, interesting.
Like, everything in general just kind of feels jankier on console.
Yeah, I know, Alex, you've actually been playing on PC, haven't you?
I am the console boy himself.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
And I think why I'm about 10 to 15 hours in it so far. And I think I'm higher on it than Marcus, but I wonder how much of that is partially because of the PC experience and because I haven't logged the near 100 hours to beat it, which is that's crazy.
Yeah, this is an Assassin's Creed game, game.
Yeah.
Basically.
It probably wouldn't take that long to do the main story. I was just trying to be thorough with all because there's so many side quests.
Yeah. Well, when you told me that, because I beat the first World Eater, we did it on stream in the first 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, sweet. This is gonna be a nice, concise 30 to 40 max, and like, oh no, like that's only a third of the way. So that's an instant turn off for me, as I've talked about. Like, games that demand like over 100 hours from me, it's like I don't have that time. So
it definitely falls into the Assassin's Creed trap of like just adding side quests for the sake of padding, but it's even less interesting than even the most mundane side quests in Assassin's Creed, because the vast majority of them are just like, hey, go here and do this puzzle that we have multiple variations of. It's like this very simple rotation color matching puzzle, and they just slapped it on so many different types of like mechanics. Like, hey, now you're going to turn it on a toaster, or now you're going to turn it on a microwave, and they try to paint it as like a new thing. We're like, this is just the same exact thing, just kind of with a different coat of paint. Do that 5 more times across different parts of the map. So you're literally running all over the map doing the exact same thing, and then the reward is maybe like, here's a few experience points, and you're like, that's it? Like, I can't even get like an item? Sometimes you get something, but then half the time you're like, oh, this item isn't worth that much compared to the work that went into this. And then when you realize that most of the missions are that, it's like, how much of these, like, when you look at the icons on the map, how many different things are there really? Or am I just chasing the same type of objectives over and over and over again? And then even the missions that aren't that are, again, they're very simple little things like, hey, go here, kill a thing, leave. Not much story reason for doing anything. The side quests don't have any narrative threats to them. It's just a guy saying like, hey, I saw this thing over here. You want to go kill it, or you want to go find this item? You're like, okay. And you never see him again. So it's, in a weird way, it's like satisfying only in the sense of like fulfilling that lizard part of my brain that's like inherently fun to clear out a checklist.
For sure. Yeah.
And then giving me an excuse to explore the world, which I do love. I love the world itself. Like the art design.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Definitely. And I think that's what's drawing me in these first 10 to 15 hours is like, I love the customization of the character. I love that your FIP is infinitely different than my Dum Don or whatever some of the tribes are called. You know, and I love, like you talked about on the customization aspects of the weapons and gear. It really feels like it's a deeper system that I'm really enjoying. And I all of Marcus's critiques are incredibly valid. And if that's going to turn you off from the game, definitely, you know, like I don't disagree, but like there is something, and not an enamor is too strong of a word, but there's something clicking in the back of my head that it's like, okay, this isn't the best game I've ever played, but it is still drawing me in. Like there's some, not like Marcus said, hollow, but some cool like psychic abilities that you can get, and like biogenic abilities that vary the gameplay, right? And you can really customize those and make it feel like your own character. And I don't know, I like, this feels like a good junk food like movie, you know what I mean? Like that's just kind of good to turn on when you're not really feeling anything. Go check off a couple of quests, that kind of thing. Like, you know, it's kind of like, this is a random cut, but like Black Ops 3 multiplayer was that for me, right? Where I was like, okay, I'm going to turn this on. I'm going to turn my brain off and just like, you know, pwn some noobs. But in that, it's just like, in this, it's like, this is like the lighting and particle effects in this are beautiful. And it's a fun space to get lost in, even though the lore isn't that interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I'm still at the point where I'm like excited to see what the new creature designs are, right? And what's around that next corner, even though it may not last that entire time. This feels like a really good Game Pass game, but unfortunately it's not on Game Pass. So.
Yeah. I had the same experience. Like I felt the same about Crackdown 3, actually, of like, this is objectively like not great, but there's something about it, right? I played that game to completion because it is like the definition of video game junk food.
Yeah.
And I found myself playing this like even after I finished the review, like I'm just gonna run around and like knock off a couple quests because there's something there. And I think this game has a solid foundation, and I hope that we get a Biomutant 2 that addresses everything that's wrong with, like, you know, this first attempt. Yeah. Because there is an undeniable,
from Assassin's 1 to Assassin's Creed 2, like that kind of jump.
Yeah. There's something there. Like there's an undeniable charm to this game, and I think that's what's going to draw people to it. Because, like you said, on the outside, when you look at the art design and the colors and just the weird creatures, like it just draws you in. Like I got to see what that is. And it's unfortunate because once you get in there, the center of everything is so shallow and mundane. Like it goes against the very imaginative facade that it has, you know?
Yeah, it does itself a disservice too, because the first 15 to 20 minutes, it starts off really hot, and then they do the backstory in a flashback manner that you've seen before, right? But it slows the pacing to a crawl, and it just kind of like takes you out of the start of it. But if you can get through it, like I do think there's some fun to be had with this. And I agree. I would love for Biomutant 2, I'd love that team because it's a smaller team, right? I think it's like 20 people. So so the world that they built is an achievement in itself. Like that's incredible that this group of people did that. But I would love to see the next one scaled down, hone in on, because I think the magic is in the characters and could be the combat. I think the foundation is there. So if they really honed those things and made something that's more of a 30 to 40 hour game for the next one, if they get that shot, I think they would be right on the money. So, but who knows?
Yeah. Sounds like there's maybe something here, but try to play on PC. Don't come for a story. Recognize that it's a little bit repetitive. If you can, like, you know, acknowledge all that, maybe there's something here for you. But if you want to do more research, check out the review, which Marcus has on the site. We also streamed it for like 3 hours. That archives up on our site as well. So maybe check that out first.
Yeah. Podcast game of the year so far.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
High praise.
Whatever that means.
Cool. Brian, I know you've been playing a
Yes.
game too recently.
Yeah, Legend
Wanna
of
talk
Zelda
about it?
Breath of the Wild.
Woohoo!
I actually finished it last night.
Oh, did you?
My second playthrough. I took down Ganon.
Did
and
you do
yeah.
100% of the shrines?
No, I did not.
All
I
right, fake.
I got to
gamer
a
boy.
point. I think I did the exact same thing that I did my first playthrough, where I was like, all right, I'm going to do all these shrines. I'm going to do like all the DLC and everything. And I got to a point about 65, 70 hours in where I was like, I think I'm ready to see this to completion. I think I'm ready to take down Ganon, finish the story, and, play newer games.
And I heard you enjoyed it about as much as you enjoyed it the first time.
I loved it. I think it solidified its place as my favorite game of all time.
That's awesome.
I wanted to, the whole point of this was I wanted to replay it before the sequel like starts getting more details, and then especially before it comes out. Like I wanted to kind of just refresh my memory about like what made this game have such a strong reaction to me, or have me such a strong reaction to it. And it, I think
Did you
that
get
like
the rash cleared up, by the way?
did I get the what?
The rash cleared up, by the way? That reaction.
Yeah, I did. The strong
good.
reaction. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then also, guess what? You don't have to hear me talking about replaying Final Fantasy X anymore either, because I finished that in the last week too.
Oh,
Oh.
did you break your disc in half in celebration? Like, I'm done.
Yeah, the digital copy of that game, I just had snapped my PS5 hard drive. That's what I did in like similar fashions.
That's perfect. Throw it on
Okay,
the ground.
those are
Those
pretty easy to
SSDs
find, so it's okay.
Because
You can
SSDs
get
are pretty hard to break in half, but I did it.
okay.
But yes, there is another game that I've been playing that is newer. It's Knockout City.
Mm.
Hold for applause.
Mama
This-
said, "Knock you out, City."
Yeah,
this
that
is
one.
EA's
Ah.
competitive arena-based. It's kind of like a dodgeball game. Is my
Yeah, so
understanding,
it's
right?
basically like so it's the studio that made Mario Kart Live. Remember that last year where they had the real remote control cars, and like they had like AR technology on the Switch.
Yeah.
So that came out, and like, it was fine, and like it kind of didn't set the world on fire. Like I thought it was either going to be a huge like Christmas gift for everyone, like every kid would want it, or it would just kind of fade into obscurity, and it kind of did the latter. But they came out and did this, and basically it's an arena shooter, a 3v3 arena shooter, but all the guns are replaced with dodgeballs, and you're just running around. There's like, you can do different trick shots. There's different special balls that you can use, and like it's just a super fun game it's like kind of like a cartoony style, so like similar, like in the vein of Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare, maybe like a little bit of Splatoon in terms of like the vibe, but it's very much its own game. It like replacing the guns with dodgeballs kind of like gives it a completely different feel, even though it's still the same thing. You're still picking up a weapon essentially and then aiming it at an opponent and trying to hit them and knock them out. And the fact that there's kind of like a push and pull gameplay mechanic where like somebody throws a dodgeball at you, and just like in real dodgeball, you can catch it, or you can and if you catch it, it doesn't like knock them out. Like you still have to throw the ball back at them, but if you catch it and you time your catch right, it charges up the ball, and then you can throw it back at them even harder, and it's harder for them to catch. And like but like I've gotten into some where it's basically like playing a game of catch with my opponent, because like we're both so good at like timing the catches. And I was really skeptical that mechanic would just fall flat on its face when you take into account like online latency. But I don't think I had any problems with any of like the servers. And at the initial time I was like, oh my God, like I suck at catching these balls like in the matches. But like once I got the timing down, like it is, it's pretty intuitive, and it's pretty smooth. Like I didn't have any problems with like the lag or anything like that. Like when somebody was throwing a ball at me, and like even so, like in general, I played it prior to launch, and then I played it the day of launch. And we've seen multiplayer games struggle mightily on launch day, and servers were pretty smooth for me. I had a few hiccups where it's like, all right, I was running and like everybody froze for like a split second, but then it was right back to normal. And it was like just at the start of the match or something like that. But Yeah, it's a really fun formula, and they apply it to a few different modes. So there is like Team KO, which is just the traditional 3v3. There's Party Team KO, where all the balls are replaced with special balls. So every match, no matter what mode you're in, there's one particular special ball that's dropped on, and there's like the moon ball, where like if you're holding it, you behave in like moon gravity, so like you can jump high, but you're kind of like floaty. And then if you hit somebody, when they get hit, they kind of like float off, like they're on the moon.
That's cool.
So like they're kind of suspended in moon gravity for like a moment after you hit them. There's a bomb ball where like as soon as you pick it up, like kind of like a fuse is lit. So like you can't hold on to it for too long, and you have to throw it at enemies, and they can catch it and throw it back at you. But like if you time it right, they have no chance at catching it. There's the cage ball where if you throw it at an enemy, they'll get stuck. Like it'll like kind of like wrap around them and they turn into a ball. Because you can also like turn into a ball yourself. Like you can like roll around like kind of like Sonic the Hedgehog, where it's like you're rolling around, and if there's no ball around, your teammate can pick you up and throw you, and it has the same effect.
Hold on.
And
do you just like this game because you can roll up into a ball like Sonic the Hedgehog? Is that what you like about games?
wait a second. What
We're
are
on you,
saying?
Shay.
Hold on. I think this is
God.
the like, I don't know how to say that. So this is the like original thing that you love about games, rolling up into a
Yes,
ball.
this is the only reason I've ever liked a video game, is because you can roll up into a ball like Sonic the Hedgehog.
That
That's
makes
why I like
sense.
Mario Odyssey so much.
Yeah, big Metroid fan.
Yeah.
That's why you
Kirby
played
rolls,
Final
yeah.
Fantasy X so many times. I get it now.
Yes. And then there's a sniper ball where like it basically like it takes a while to charge, but you can hit enemies from a further distance. And then there's the multi-ball where you pick it up and you have 3 balls. Like you're holding one and then there are 2 floating, kind of like when you get like a 3 red shell in Mario Kart. And that's really powerful because you can throw a ball and then immediately throw another one. Even if they catch that first one, it's going to be hard for them to catch 2 in a row. Especially if you throw them like different speeds. Because like based on how long you charge it, you throw at different speeds. You can even do like a pump fake almost to like try to draw out their parry, and then you can hit them while they're like recovering from that. You can throw like curve balls. So like if you do like a spin move before you throw, the ball will like loop around, and like you can, if you get really good, you can like loop it around like environmental objects. Like there was like a wall, and there was an enemy on the other side of the wall, and I actually did the spin and looped it around the wall and hit them. They didn't even know I was there, which was like there's some pretty good like expert techniques you can do there. And it's not, I mean, I'm not saying like expert like I'm like some expert, but like you can learn to like manipulate these moves and like chain them together in interesting ways. And then there's like a lob ball. So if somebody's like on the other side of a wall, you can just like, you do like a front flip and then throw the ball. It'll like kind of like throw it up and over an obstacle. So like there are some cool ways to do that. And then, like I said, like you can roll up into a ball and your teammate can pick you up. And if they pick you up and hold you, like charge you basically, like you would charge a normal ball, you turn into a bomb. And it's an ultimate attack that you do as a team, and they throw you up in the air, and then you're suspended in the air for like a couple seconds, and you can aim where you want to land, and then you come down and like try to take out as many enemies as you can.
Do you die in the process then?
You don't, no.
Okay, interesting. This sounds weird and absurd, but kind of fun. It seems like you had fun with it.
I had a lot of fun with it, and like I was talking about like the modes. There's like the one-on-one face-off, which is like surprisingly tense. Like I had like a real like tough shootout with this one guy where it's like the best of 3. Like the first person to win 2 rounds wins. And it came down to the very last life of the 3rd round. And we both hit each other at the same time. But I guess mine hit like a split second sooner and I won the round. Like it was one of those like gaming moments where you just jump off the couch and like pump your fists. You're like, that was like super intense.
Is that one of the I'm sorry, is that like in a smaller arena? Because like I played the preview event, but that wasn't available, and I'm thinking of like the Gulag and Warzone when you describe it.
So the way it works is it almost has like a battle royale mechanic where it starts off, you have the full map at your disposal, and then the longer you go without engaging the opponent, the circle just shrinks and shrinks and shrinks, and if you're outside of the circle for like longer than a couple of seconds, you die. Okay. So eventually, like if you're not like if you're not throwing the ball at your opponent and you're having a hard time finding each other, eventually it'll be like a real tiny circle, and it's like you have no choice but to see each other and throw the balls at each other.
Gotcha.
And then Team Party KO is the same thing as the regular Team KO, but every regular dodgeball is replaced with a special ball. So there's just all kinds of different like pandemonium happening there. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. The problem that I had with it was there's not a lot of content at launch. So there's 5 maps, 5 special balls, and then those few modes. But the season 1 just started, and that added, I think, a new mode, a new map, and new objectives for people to like unlock cosmetics. And that's the good thing as well, is like there are microtransactions. It is a value price game. Like I think it's like $20 for the regular edition or $30 for the like the special edition that comes with like a bunch of cosmetics and stuff. But all the stuff that, and you can buy these, you buy or earn hollow bucks, they're called, and you can, that is how you buy in-game items. But like I had a pretty steady stream of it while I was playing. I'm sure like as I reach like higher and higher and higher levels, it'll kind of slow to a drip. But there's a lot of like objectives, daily, weekly, seasonal objectives that you can complete, and they earn you additional hollow bucks. But you can also buy them with real money. But anything that you buy with those hollow bucks is cosmetic. Like you can buy like different outfits, you can buy different emotes, different voice lines, all kinds of stuff. So thankfully, it's not like, all right, well, this is going to give you like a faster charge so you can take enemies out. It's not like a Star Wars Battlefront 2 situation where, oh, I got like a higher level Darth Vader because I spent $30 and now I can, wipe you out no matter what. It's none of that. So that was something that I was pretty happy about. And, the new season's starting now. I haven't had a chance to play it, but I'm always happy for, new content. And I think that there's a really solid foundation with Knockout City, and I'm really looking forward to like how it grows. Just like Splatoon. Like Splatoon 1, when it came out, I was pretty lukewarm on it. I thought it was fun. Like I had a fun base game, and then they just blew it out, and it became one of my favorite games on the Wii U. And Splatoon 2 is one of my favorite games on the Switch. So I hope that Knockout City kind of carries on in that tradition.
Other thing to like point out is that people can play it for free, at least for a few days here until the 30th, I believe. It's available for free if you want to check it out. So if you're listening to it,
yeah, they're doing a thing called Block Party.
Yeah, it's also on Game Pass as well.
Yeah, so if you have Game Pass.
Yeah, so it's on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, Switch, and PC. And yeah, it's free for the first 10 days that it's out. And that's, like you said, it's coming up on the 30th, I believe, is when that expires. But yeah, download it, check it out.
Crossplay,
I would definitely, right?
You're able to.
Yeah, crossplay is awesome because like we had former GI editor Elise Favis was in my party. Like it's funny because like I was playing in the review event. There was a review event prior, like, where they just set up like a gameplay session, basically, where it's like, hey, everybody jump on at this time and we'll all play for a few hours just so you can get like a head start. And I got a message from Elise saying, hey, are you in the game right now? And I was like, yeah. It's like, you just like knocked me out like 6 times. And
it's just like she's back at the office.
Yeah, and she was playing on PC and I was playing on Xbox, so it worked seamlessly. It's pretty easy to jump into games with other players, and yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sounds fun. I'm excited to. I haven't jumped in yet. I need to do that.
By the way, the thud that the dodgeball makes when you hit enemies is so satisfying and so true to like that actual sound that you have. Like if you remember like gym class dodgeball, the boom. Like, it's so good. That's one of my favorite parts of the game that doesn't really factor into any, like, qualitative statement.
Yeah, I love a good sound effect, honestly. I'm curious to see, too. Remember Fall Guys?
Yeah. I've heard of that.
I think so.
I felt like that one fell off the face of the earth, right? Or am I mistaken?
No, you're spot on. So, but that game, at its peaks, that was so fun.
This sounds kind of like that. I'm hoping it has a little bit more legs than Fall Guys did, because there's a good time to be had here. Reviews on the site. Brian, did you say what you gave it?
I gave it an 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, that's good. Check it out, especially while it's free. Cool. I wanted to highlight a game, too. I've been playing. You guys remember Portal?
I've heard of it.
That classic Valve game.
It's familiar.
Yeah, there is a game called, it's a mod for Portal 2 called Portal Reloaded. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this one, but I checked it out this week, and it's pretty cool. I don't dive into fan mods too often, but when one piques my interest, I try to give it a shot. And this feels like a pretty legit well polished game. Like if Valve had released it, I'd be like, oh, okay, maybe, it's maybe a notch or two below a real Portal game. I'll give that qualifier. Like the humor's not quite up to the Valve standard, but the gameplay is pretty interesting. So what they do is, you guys ready for this? They add a third portal.
Oh no.
What color is it?
It's green.
What?
What?
And I know that it's like, okay, that sounds stupid. You had a third portal, but what the third portal does is the third portal is a time portal. So you can jump into the future or the past. And it's basically about like manipulating time to solve puzzles. So you have all the like normal portals. You have the two portals that you place so you can jump between spaces. And then you have the third portal that jumps through time. And so you can bring things from the future into the past, but you can't bring things from the past into the future, if that makes sense. So it's a lot of it's just like playing with like, okay, I'm going to bring a cube from the future into the past. So that way I have two cubes, but as soon as I touch the cube from the present, like that affects the cube from the future and that disappears. It probably sounds stupid coming out of my mouth, like most things that come out of my mouth, but it's hard to describe. But if you love puzzle games, especially like decently challenging ones, like I think this might be up for you. I mean, it is a decent challenge too, just to be clear.
Okay.
There's a couple of puzzles that I was stumped on for a little bit, but like a good puzzle game, it is also very rewarding when you solve them. So I'm digging it so far. I haven't finished it, but I might actually go through the whole thing.
Okay. And this is for the original Portal, not Portal 2?
No, to be clear, this is for Portal 2. It's a mod for Portal 2. So you have to own Portal 2 to install the mod. But I think once you own Portal 2, the mod's free.
Was it in Steam Workshops, or did you have to go like onto a website to download it?
I just typed in Portal Reloaded in Steam and it came right up.
Nice.
Oh,
Cool.
well, looks like I have the rest of my week sorted.
That's right.
Although it sounds like this person just really loves Portal and really loves that one level in Titanfall 2.
Could.
Not a bad thing.
Yeah. I mean,
good taste.
Those aren't two bad things to mash together, honestly. It's like peanut butter and more peanut butter. Just goes well together.
Yeah. Green peanut butter.
Green peanut butter?
Green
Yeah.
Future.
Pistachio butter, maybe? I guess that.
I was like, I think the peanut butter's gone bad, dude.
Oh, that's probably why I've been having these tummy aches.
You should get that
Yeah.
figured out. Well, Brian, sounds like you want to get going and playing Portal Reloaded. Should we take a break and come back for some emails?
I think we shall.
I need to fix my hair. Welcome back, everybody, to the Game Informer Show. We're going to do some emails. These are emails that you guys sent us to podcast@gameinformer.com. We love questions and games and all kinds of fun things. Marcus, what do you like?
What do I like? Let's see. Long walks on the beach. I like sour apple blow pops. They're the objectively best thing you can ever eat. I like vanilla Coke, but only in 2004, that specific time period. So when I want vanilla Coke, I get in a time machine and go back to that year so that I can drink it. And then don't ask me how it works.
And you like emails, right?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I guess those are cool. It's probably like right below vanilla Coke, but it's really
You heard it here. Marcus loves emails, so make his dreams come true and send in an email to podcast@gameinformer.com. This first email comes in from Francisco, not Francesco, Ben. Here's another boring dream question from Francisco. I hope I'm still pronouncing that incorrectly. I had another dream like Mario Brothers where you break the game to skip levels, but in the dream, I had to force a glitch to actually beat it, which I thought would be a good idea for a game. So this question is from Francisco. Have you ever had a dream that would make an interesting video game?
I have.
I am also here. I wasn't introduced.
Blake, I'm not interested. Yes,
Reagan
that's
is here.
correct. That's correct. Marcus is still here and Alex is still here. And joining us today is
Blake and Reagan. And Reagan.
And Reagan.
Reagan
Right.
the dog.
Former President Reagan the dog.
No. No.
That's not what your dog's named after?
No, she's named after the little girl from The Exorcist.
Oh, fun.
Yes, Reagan McNeil.
Okay. Well, Blake, I hope your ego's satisfied. You let everybody know you're here.
It's not an ego thing.
Can
You
we
just gotta
move on
introduce
now
the
and
guest,
talk
the
about
audio
these-
listener? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Audio listeners know you're here, that you exist. All right. Any questions? Sorry. Any answers to this beautiful question that somebody sent in? Have you ever had a dream that would make an interesting video game?
Yeah. So when I first saw Jurassic Park as a kid, I had a phase where I had recurring nightmares, the same nightmare about velociraptors in my house. And the fact that they could open doors always freaked me out. So the dream was always I would be in my room under the covers because that's just the shield from anything scary. And I would hear the raptor kind of roaming around my living room. And like for some reason the door was always cracked and I would always go up to like close it and then go back under the covers, but then it would always alert the raptor. So I would hear him stomping down the hall and then in my mind I'm like, well, it can't open doors. And then I would see the little jiggle and you're like, oh my God. And then he would come in and then I guess maul me to death before I woke up. So I would like to see either like if you did like an Outlast / Amnesia style game where you're just like defenseless and you have to hide from like a single velociraptor. I guess it could be similar somewhat to like Alien Isolation a little bit, but maybe like not 30 hours long and in a more enclosed space where you're just having to like hide from raptors, or even a game that somehow gamifies the element of hiding under your covers from something. I don't know how you would do that, but like if you could like have a game that's about getting under your blanket or under the bed or whatever your little safe space was, and then just have to like stay still or like fortify your sheet to protect you from the quote unquote monsters that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you could do a VR game where like they somehow can track like, hey, you actually put an actual blanket over your head and only pull it up when you think it's safe.
That's
I think
funny.
that would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But
sick.
also has raptors still. Raptors are integral to this game.
They're important.
Of course.
Has there ever been a game where you're just barricading a door and the whole game is you trying to like barricade this door from breaking
Like
open?
one single door.
I mean,
And
I
just
guess there's
see
games
how
that
long it
have
can last.
again, there's games that have that as an element, but as that is like the centerpiece mechanic.
Yeah.
You'd run out of things in the room.
No. Well, so I'm picturing a mobile game actually, like where just your phone screen turns into a door and all you see is the door and you're like trying to like shove things up against it or like add bolts to it and stuff like that. And I don't know how you would get that stuff, but it sounds like it could be a fun little puzzle game.
Yeah. Maybe it'd be like a Katamari thing, like you're just gathering up a bunch of crap to put in front of your door.
Sure. That could work.
Yeah. My answer was going to be something similar to Marcus, where when I get anxiety, like I always have middle school either in my boxers or just completely naked dreams. And I don't know why. Like literally it's the same hallway, it's the same recurring dream every time. But when my anxiety's high, those always come around. So like,
and you want a game where you're in your boxers and as like the main protagonist?
Exactly. Yeah.
You sicko.
Hey man, they had that in Spider-Man. But like a way to like maybe capture that in either a funny way, interesting, but like capture like the angst and anxiety and terror of being in middle school, I think could be interesting. Maybe that's a more interesting movie, but like I guess Lady Bird, right? But something along those lines. You like Lady Bird?
Oh no! Don't get me started on that.
Okay.
one.
Okay. I want to talk to you after this.
I used to have this recurring dream where one of my legs wouldn't work. It'd feel like I couldn't bend it, so it's very stiff. And in the dream, of course, I'd be trying to walk somewhere and I would be hindered by my leg. And one day I Googled this and Google told me it's some element of like existential dread of not being where you want to be in life. Now, I don't know what it says that dream has gone away in recent years, but regardless, I think you could turn that into an interesting Gwop style game or getting over it with Bennett Foddy. Gwop. 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 That game where you try to like run with
with those letters of the keyboard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I have heard of this.
A game like that or getting over it with Bennett Foddy, where you're ostensibly it's a simple task, just walk from point A to point B, but one of your legs is keeping you from it, so it becomes like an ultra hard endurance test. It'd be great for speed runners, and I'm happy to announce it's coming out in Q3 2022.
Congrats, man.
Here's some E3 showcase in the coming weeks.
Yeah, it's gonna be a Jeff Keighley's thing. Summer games done quick.
He doesn't bend his leg for the entire presentation.
Not a
Now's
lot
the
of
time
people
to
know
announce.
Jeff Keighley's never bent his legs.
I've never seen it.
He never learned.
Edit
how.
that one out. Didn't land.
No,
Weird
no
one.
lie. I don't think I've ever seen him sitting down. I think because I'm still used to seeing him host. I've never seen him in a sitting position.
Sure.
Sleep. You might be onto something there.
I've seen him sit. He's good at it.
Do you think he ever like just says like, yeah, F it, I'm not going to wear shoes today? You think he's that kind of guy?
I think so.
I'm not that kind of guy.
On stage.
I
That'll
got
probably
shoes
be
on
the-
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's probably every like Summer Games Fest because he's at home. We don't see his feet.
Exactly.
I get a lot of grief for wearing shoes in bed when I'm lounging around.
Ooh, why would you do that?
I mean, look, I don't want to get into it necessarily, but like I'm like Ned Flanders. Like I'm not a never nude, but like I like to be fully dressed at all times. It's a rule I have from working from home, so I'm always wearing shoes at all times until I go to sleep. So it's just like part of my day.
Yeah, it's
Wear
like a
shoes
cartoon
and-
character.
You ever fall
It's a-
asleep in your shoes for whatever reason? And then you
Yeah.
sort of wake up and you're like, I feel like you just feel gross. Like I made
Yeah.
a bad decision.
Mhm.
Some like it doesn't. You feel like you get off on the wrong foot. There's a joke in there somewhere, but like yeah,
Somewhere, yeah.
yeah. It's just like you don't feel like you slept correctly because you were
Right.
wearing shoes all night. Anyway,
Yeah. Same
Next-
with like falling asleep in all your clothes overnight. The
Yeah.
worst.
I cannot fall asleep in socks. I know we're getting way off the subject here, but I can't. I literally cannot fall asleep if I have socks on.
oh, strange.
Anyways, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next email. Matt from Philly writes in, "Hey guys, just curious. Do you guys ever sleep in your socks?"
No, you psychopath.
Sometimes.
Matt writes in, he says, "Hey, with Mass Effect Legendary Edition out now again." Well, again, being like Mass Effect again. I've been thinking about an issue I have with the sequels and other games. The issue arises when there's a ticking clock or something that is extremely important for the protagonist to do, and the game design has a lot of meandering. So, like, there's something really important for you. I think he's specifically referring to 3, where it's like, hurry up and get ready. But then there's a lot of like side quests and stuff like, hey, go collect these chickens or whatever. Remember that chicken side quest in Mass Effect?
In Mass Effect, yeah.
Yeah. That happens all the time in games. Fallout 4 also disconnected me from the narrative because the main plot is a parent looking for their kid, but there's a lot of like extra stuff on the sides, such as like you designing your dream home. Remember that? Remember that there was you could design a home and like build stuff in Fallout 4.
Yeah.
I like never did that, but
No.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense narratively. You're searching for your kid. Why are you going to bring him back to a little
Yeah.
hellhole, you know? Bring him back to a nice little love shack.
That's true.
Well,
Whoa.
Maybe not the Love Shack, baby.
so Matt's
So
question
instead-
is, what gameplay or narrative choices do you guys have a hard time getting past?
Ludo narrative dissonance, if you will.
So like
I
when
think-
a character like Nathan Drake is a cool guy, but then he also
Well,
turns out he's like a mass murderer because he's just shooting people up.
When games take mechanics away from you that you've relied on the entire game, this happens all the time in like late stage levels where it's like, hey, you've spent 20 hours building expertise with these mechanics. Now we're going to take it from you to like artificially increase the difficulty. I guess not artificially, but like vapidly increase difficulty. I find that immensely frustrating because what was the point of practicing with those mechanics just to have them robbed? Even for like one level, I think it's very, very tedious and a boring way to make a game harder, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's
Appreciate
good.
your candor.
One of the things that bothers me, and this doesn't happen nearly as much as it used to, but like when it usually is in like a linear game, you have a path and you're like, I want to get to this point, but your path is blocked off by something. Some games do a really good job of making this like really legit blocked off, but other games there's like a knee-high fence or something.
Yep. Oh yeah.
But even like if I was really in that situation, even if it's like a locked door, I am like, if I were really in this situation, I'd just smash that window and crawl in.
Right.
Or like I have a gun. Couldn't I just shoot the lock or something? Like, couldn't I?
Yeah.
I would just hammer away at that door for like an hour until it was gone rather than like go next door and have to deal with zombies.
Oh, literally,
Yeah.
yeah. I was gonna say Village was criminal with that Resident Evil Village, and no spoilers, right? But in one of the Lady D sequences, I was like, "Oh, I could fit through those bars easily. Like, I'm gone. Like, I don't need to do this mouse chase or whatever." Like, yeah, 100%. I was like, I would just be out of there.
If I ever ran into those hallways that have the doors that are just crammed tight with just random furniture, I would pull each one individually like a Jenga game
Yeah,
until it all collapsed and I could escape. I don't know why I can't do that.
I think
It has to be
we've
like
talked
the
about
whole
it.
building has to be collapsed in front of me or something for me to be like, oh, well, I'm not getting through there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Outriders did that too. With like, it would have like a door open a little bit, and you could see the chest, and it's like, well, it's right there. Why can't I just freaking grab this thing?
I feel like that happens in Assassin's Creed, the last couple of Assassin's Creeds as well, where it was like they wanted to tease you, like, there it is. How do you get there? But that sort of annoys me too, because then I'm just like looking around like, all right, where's the window I crawl in, or what do I have to do?
Outriders reminds me of one. Tutorials that don't trust or respect the player's intelligence. That game, like the opening of it is like, it's like Halo 1 levels of bad, where it's teaching you how to play a video game. And even if you're new to video games, like it's almost like it's talking down to you. An example of, I think, a tutorial doing it in clever ways is actually The Last of Us Part 2, where it teaches you how to shoot by having a snowball fight. But like, don't patronize me with your tutorial. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't play Outriders after that. I turned it off and said, I'm done.
I said, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I think building off that and it's 100% because Biomutant's fresh on my mind. I think tutorial section, I would imagine they're hard to come up with, right, to balance it out. But like, I hate when games start off with a bang, instantly in the action, great, this is awesome, and then slow it to a crawl after like that first 30 minutes, because it's like you get a taste of what you want, and then it's like, nope, you have to sit through 2 hours of menu screens now and like introduction, and I'm like, I would almost rather have you take care of it at the start, rip the band-aid off, and then like let me really get into it, you know?
Yeah, I feel like
God.
I feel like Breath of the Wild kind of spoiled me on that. Like my patience for slow beginnings in general has diminished after Breath of the Wild. Just like, here's like 10 minutes of like setup, and then do whatever you want.
For sure.
Too many menus in a game as well. Do not make me look like don't make me feel like I'm looking at Excel to play your game. Just like put it on the screen and let me play it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, especially after like Ghost of Tsushima last year, which, you know, people are higher or lower in that game, right? But I think the one thing we can all agree on, like its way of keeping you out of those menus was fantastic. And I would love to see more games adapt that.
Yeah.
I think I was talking to someone the other day about how good I think Warzone is with its menus, where like most of the necessary information is on screen for you in some capacity. And if you need to pull up a menu, it's super non-intrusive.
All right, moving on. Oh, and just for our audio listeners too, the voice you heard there is Blake Hester. He's on this segment of the podcast, just so everybody's aware. Yeah.
Thank you to special guest Reagan for stopping by.
That's right.
It was great having you on.
Thanks, Reagan. Miss you wherever you are. Godspeed.
Yep. She's right there. She's just like a couple feet away.
All right. Chris from Maryland writes in, after last week's outstanding episode, I've been wondering, what game would you guys pick to perfectly represent your prom night? I hope you have a terrific week, and congratulations for another great issue this month.
I'm gonna need you guys to tell me the game, because my prom night was good, but it was disappointing because I had a date who was like, I asked this girl out who we were friends, and it was like she was like the stereotypical like girl that everyone goes crazy for. But like I happen to be friends with her, like the nerd guy, and like we lived by each other and we would walk home together. And in my mind, I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna ask her out, and then we're gonna have like a Boy Meets World style love story and stuff. But was always so afraid to do it. And then when prom came around, I eventually got the guts to call her up and just straight up ask her, and she said yes, like immediately. And I was like, whoa, okay,
let's go.
All right,
but about a week. So this is like 2 weeks before prom. Leading up to it, I'm trying to plan like all the prom stuff, like, oh, should I get a limo? Should I do this or that? And I'm not really hearing much from her. And then like days before prom, I call her just to kind of finalize some stuff. And she just goes, yeah, I can't go with you anymore because my friends don't have dates and I don't want to make them
Oh, he froze.
Oh,
no way.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
What a
That,
story.
You hate to see it.
Okay, let's all guess what we think he's gonna say before he comes back.
That's true.
Friends
She
all
was
don't
saying,
have-
my friends don't have dates, and I am going to go join a nunnery.
Yeah, that has to be it.
That's it.
We
We
That's
shouldn't
the
even do
only
any
thing.
more
Yeah.
guesses. That has to be it, dude.
That's the
For
only
sure.
thing it could be.
Friends.
What about you, Alex? What was he going to say?
My friends don't have dates, and the captain of the football team asked me out. So I'll see you at prom.
My friends don't have dates. And so I have to go to the grocery and buy them some. See, it's actually the fruit.
My friends don't have dates, so I ate too many dates, and now
Yes.
I'm locked in the
There we go.
bathroom for the night.
What is a date?
It's like a giant raisin,
Yeah.
kind of.
Sounds good.
They're
I love
fine.
raisins. I love
I don't know.
raisins, dude.
Give it a try. See if you like it. Let's try to get Marcus back on the line here. All right, we got Marcus back. And also just for audio listeners, Blake is still here.
I am.
Yeah. Thanks, Blake, for being here. Marcus, you got interrupted in the story. You were telling us that your girlfriend said none of her friends had dates.
Well, not my girlfriend. This my friend who was a girl that I, in my mind, wished that she was my girlfriend, but that never happened. But yeah, so yeah, she said she didn't have dates, or her friends didn't have dates, so that meant that she could not have a date, so that she could not go with me. And I, was like heartbroken, but also trying to be cool, like, yeah, that's fine, no problem. And in my mind, I'm like, the hell. So you go to prom. And we bump into each other almost immediately. And it's like, hey, what's up? Hey. And it's this weird thing of like, we could have just done this, what we're doing right now.
Yeah, what kind of mental gymnastics was she pulling there?
Wait, she ended up going anyway?
Yeah.
Did she go with someone else?
No, she went with her. I mean, at least there's that. She went with her friends, but we still wound up like hanging out basically. So it was like this weird thing of like, I don't understand what the difference would have been totally. So it was like this, like, I was denied the prom photo of like with somebody, which I didn't.
Unbelievable.
I didn't take it by myself because I have too much self-respect. But it was this weird thing of like, this is weird and kind of disappointing. So I guess to answer your question, I don't know, Devil May Cry 2, I guess.
I was trying to think like, would Among Us work for this?
Was there a murder at your prom? What the?
Ghost Protocol?
Let's say the anticipation for Devil May Cry 2, as much as I love the first game, was so high. It was much like asking Dante to the prom and then him saying yes, but then before prom, he shows up as that lame version of Dante that's like not funny or charismatic. And the game is disappointing because it's just everything you liked about the first game, but gone. And yeah, it's like prom. That's what it said on the back of the box. Like, this is just like your prom night. So yeah, this may have been an excuse to vent about my prom night.
Yeah, man, you good?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Just
what a
kidding.
bummer.
It's okay. I'm doing all right now.
Alex or Blake, do you have any games that would describe your prom night perfectly?
Similar vein as Marcus, kind of. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, because it was really cool and I liked it a lot.
You just want to talk about revengeance.
Maybe mine is revenge just because she cut me out of her prom date plans.
Oh, swords. Yes, it's so good.
My prom night was great. I remember it.
My prom night was like BioShock because it took me not only to an underground lair, but took me in places that I didn't quite expect. We went to prom and it was great, time of our lives, never gets better, all these cliches. And then we went to the after party. And I don't know if I'm going to get this person in trouble for talking about this, so I'm not going to use names. But we went to our friends. One of our friends' parents had a place we were going to afterwards, and it was like, okay, like this will be fun or whatever. And we get to this office park, and we go and we knock on the door, And it turns out it's this like I'm not making this up. Like it's this like underground like poker ring that we went to. So there's like poker tables and a projector screen and like a drinks that we probably shouldn't have been drinking and like all that. And it was just like, what is happening? I feel like I slipped into a different dimension and we had a lot of fun, to say the least.
Yeah,
so
that's wild.
That is so cool.
Hey,
Yeah.
wait, where did you go to high school?
not saying.
Where was this poker ring?
I'm convinced it's one of those things where it's like I'm convinced I couldn't find it again if you like if you told me to go look for it.
It's like Dracula's castle. It's always changing and moving.
Yeah,
Is it
for
in
real.
the state you grew up in?
It is in Minnesota. I can confirm.
Wait, it's in Minnesota.
We gotta find it. We gotta
Wait,
find
and
it.
what year was this?
18 no 2000 and
Alex?
what? Ben?
Well, whoa.
Whoa! It's been so long.
Yeah, I can't believe that's you after all these
Wow.
years.
Right. I wasn't wearing glasses this whole time. That
Oh,
was
yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've grown
You-
3 feet.
You lost the face tattoo.
Yeah, I got rid of it. Also, I got new teeth.
It's a good bit.
Yeah.
Fans are gonna love this one.
All right,
This is a
we
good
should probably
one.
move
Yeah.
on. I think to describe my prom night with a game, I'd just say Amnesia: The Dark Descent. I won't go any further into details. Next
I don't
email.
think you need to.
Derek from Canada says, "Hello, I would like to ask the Game Informer crew, what's a game you loved that had a protagonist you hated?"
Like all of them, honestly. Like,
What's the
all
Lady
of
Bird
them.
of video games, Blake?
Well, to be Night in the Woods, but I like that game infinitely better than Lady Bird.
Do you hate May?
No, May's alright. Kratos sucks.
Mm.
Like
Mm,
he sucks, but I like that original trilogy quite a bit.
yeah, those
Um,
3 games are awesome.
Yeah,
Is it-
I'm not.
Is
Go
this like does this take into account like I guess new Kratos?
I mean, he sucks for entirely different reasons. But I don't particularly like that game.
Interesting. Okay.
Kane and Lynch 2, that's like Kane and Lynch series. That's the whole point. You're supposed to hate those dudes.
And you do?
True.
Yeah, they suck. They're awful. Dante, Leon Kennedy, just all of them. They just all suck.
Oh. I'm trying
was
to find
a-
like a pattern here.
There was a character in The Sims called Ken Reeves. I don't know if you guys played The Sims.
No.
He sucked. Oh, man. He was always
Was
like leaving his dishes everywhere, pissed on the floor. Like, yeah.
That's not where P goes.
Yeah. Started the
I-
kitchen on fire one day.
What a
I have 2 immediate answers for this. The first one is a Far Cry 3.
Yup.
I think that
Yeah.
game's amazing,
Oh, that's a good one.
that was
man,
my
that
Brody
what's it,
Nelson or whatever.
Jason Brody.
Oh,
no, that
Jason.
I think Jason is it what is it? Wait, I'm thinking of
Jason
I'm thinking of Jet Brody from Fracture
or Jason Bourne.
But yeah, regardless of his name is he sucks so hard in that game.
Yeah.
I was cheering for Voss like you can just kill me if you want.
Yeah.
But and then my second game might be a little controversial, but Final Fantasy X, Titus
Fair.
or Titus. I was super kind of not on board for him for a lot of that game when I first played it. A lot of it has to do with the kind of the voice acting, like his English voice. It's very cheesy and kind of grating, especially like the laughing scene that's been beaten to death.
It was
of course.
cheese grating.
Yeah,
that
cheese
what you
grating.
said?
Like I said, cheesy and grating.
Yeah.
All over his cheese, all over my pasta, and I did not want it.
Oh no.
But yeah, like he grew on me towards the end as the kind of the plot, really hits another level. But I still argue like he's a giant dork that happens to be redeemable because the story around him is phenomenal.
Yeah.
That seems fair. Alex, did you have another one?
Mine was Jason Brody
Jason
through and
Brody.
through. That dude sucks and is part of the reason why I just stopped playing.
Oh wow.
Yeah. other part of it was just Far Cry games always lose me in the back half because I feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over again. But I can confirm it is Jason Brody.
Gotcha.
He just looks like the dude who set up like the Fire Festival. Like,
Oh my god!
not here for it.
That's amazing.
That is
Cisco?
Are you sure he's not?
Wasn't that the rapper involved?
I wouldn't be
Jaro.
surprised if he was involved somehow.
Probably.
Oh, wait, there's a little bit more to Derek's email here. It says, okay, now that you've picked your character, please rank the hated protagonist on the character rankings list.
Oh,
Trojan horse, truly. Unfortunately, didn't we do Jason Brody already?
We may have.
We did Voss. We did Voss for sure.
We have a list on the site, if you're not familiar, called Game Informer's Ultimate Character Ranking, where we're ranking every character known to man, known to humanity on an ever-expanding master list. Right now, we have a list that's 65 characters long. And let's see if it was Jason Brody and
Titus
and
are on
Kratos.
there. And
And Kratos.
Kratos is on there, Blake.
Yeah.
Kratos is currently
At
number
number
3.
Why? Why?
Because he's an interesting, rich character. With a lot of
When?
depth, turns out.
What game was that? The mobile game
2018 game.
that came
Yeah.
out in
Yeah.
Oh, we're talking.
2000
Yeah,
the
to be,
novelization.
to be clear, we're talking about the Kratos from the God of War series. You might be confused.
which one was he interesting in?
He was the main
2018 one.
character.
How
He's
to
number
bet.
3. Jason Brody
Not on the list.
is not on
Yeah.
the list, so we can rank him.
Blast.
So what? Let's just reiterate. Why was he so bad?
He's just kind of like a stereotypical, like spoiled rich kid,
Whiny
in
frat
shape.
boy.
whiny, like frat boy, rich kid, incapable in pretty much anything except by video game standards. Like, I guess he has to be pretty good with a gun. And then he ended up having some like mystical power crap or something.
Yeah. I know a lot
Yeah,
of
just
people were upset by that game and just like the the white male savior archetype that's kind of
Yeah,
promoted, which isn't great either.
I think he is in Bubsy territory, like that bottom list, but it's weird. Explosion Man lower than Bubsy, which I don't remember that, but like I'd say he's actually, yeah, now I'm really looking at the bottom list. He's probably no better than Ashley Graham.
Don't start with me on this one. Ashley is done so dirty on this list. She should be higher.
I think we're going more mechanically. I guess she's just like a pain, but like if I was going to hang out with one of the two, I'd probably hang out with Ashley, even though it's going to be a lot of like dragging her around places that maybe I don't want to be. But I think she's probably a better conversation than Jason Brody, if nothing else. Of like, hey, what's it like being the president's daughter? That's interesting.
For sure.
I think he's above Silver. I don't think I could do him that dirty.
Because at least he's like fun to play with in that game. You know what I mean? Well,
Silver's just
Blake,
a-
shut up. I saw those eyes.
Yeah, Silver is just a disaster in every aspect. So like second to last sounds pretty good for him to me.
I agree. I'm right around there.
So
I
worse
don't
than
think-
Navi and Funky Kong.
Navi has never bugged me the way she bugs a lot of people. I think a lot of that's because I played Ocarina way out of its time. So people built it up as her being annoying. And I was like, she's not so bad.
I actually started up Ocarina for like the third or fourth time trying to get through it. Not get through it. It's a great game. But on my DS over my break, and Navi just, I'm with Marcus. Navi doesn't bug me quite as much as other people. So I think Mr. Brody goes below Navi. I'm good with either above or below Ashley. I can live with that.
This list
Ben?
is wild, man.
You're saying
I mean-
below Ashley for sure, Blake, right?
Yeah. And bump Ashley up. She's like a 4.
You got to write in. Someone's got to write in. Ask for a
All
rewrite.
right, in.
We use science to dictate the numbers on this list, man. We can't just like
Oh.
willy-nilly move things. Imagine if like scientists came in like, hey, let's just shift the table of elements around. Like, let's just,
Scientists are
let's just
changing
move
things all the
hydrogen
time.
down a little bit.
Scientists are changing things all the time. They fired Pluto. We had Pluto for like 40 years, and then like, nah.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
Pluto
crazy
on the
over
table of elements? I rest my case. Okay. So Jason Brody, the new 65 on our list. Also, we have Titus. who is not on the list. So how do you guys feel about that guy?
Like I said, like he can be pretty annoying. He's like my least favorite character in that party. But he's better than a lot of the people on this list still. Like again, he comes around towards the end when things like his story gets a little bit more serious, and you start to feel a little bit more sympathy for him just as a character. I'd say, like looking, like I think he's probably in like the top 40 at least. Looking at kind of that area, like he's probably I don't know about Frank Fontaine, but he's probably better than like Cal Kestis and Deacon St. John and stuff.
I also, not to overstate it, but he looks stupid. Like his outfit is super dumb. It's like cobbled together from different sports equipment or something is what it looks like. He's got a basketball hoop on one of his legs.
Well, Ben, is he dumb by like our standards, or like is he even dumb by Final Fantasy character design standards?
I think even by Final Fantasy characters, he's kind of dumb looking. And I remember it's not like, oh, this was cool back in like the early 2000s to wear basketball hoops. Like it was stupid looking back then.
Yeah. It's not Sora bad, but it's like one step above that. Still pretty bad though.
He had a few more.
You don't like the poofy pants?
What?
You don't like the poofy pants on Sora?
No, those Jinko shorts he wears. Get out of here.
He's also got a pair of like, talking about Titus, a pair of just like Doc Martens. He's got this weirdest outfit possible, and then just like, Doc Marten shoes, whatever. It's like they gave up. They started drawing like, wait, you forgot to draw shoes, Clyde. Oh.
Well, here we go.
Clyde. Oh yeah, character designer Clyde.
Classic Square Enix character designer.
Clyde Darren is
the most possible potential name for a character artist at Square.
So what about like, I'm seeing 30s because we see Auron from Final Fantasy X is number 30. He's definitely not cooler than Auron.
He's not cooler than Auron.
I think that's his hard ceiling right there. So maybe like in the mid to late 30s is where I'm kind of eyeing. So like around like Guybrush Threepwood and Mimir from God of War, Crash Bandicoot, Conker. I think maybe in between Mimir and Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, I feel like that the list sort of falls off a cliff pretty quick from 5 characters down. And you're like, whoa, all right.
Oof,
well, so here's one.
Yeah.
So Ike from Fire Emblem. That's an interesting comparison, right? I don't know a whole lot about Ike. Do you guys like Ike?
I don't.
I know he's just really good in Smash.
Okay.
I like Ike.
Yeah, he's good in Smash.
I just wanted to say it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I like Ike.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I don't know anything about Titus, but I thought it was Titus for the longest time. And for that, I think that's how it's spelled. I think he should be dropped a point just for that. Because his name's dumb too.
I still call him Titus out of like protest, honestly.
Yeah.
I didn't know his name wasn't Titus until Marcus said it today.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting comparison for you guys. Because I'm with you, Marcus. I think Titus, he's super dumb looking. And for a lot of the game, he annoyed me. And then kind of near the end of the game, I feel like he had some character growth and like became more interesting. And like I ended that game kind of liking him. So it was an interesting arc. And I thought they did a good job of showing a character grow, which is what you want to see in every game. And not every game has that. So that's kind of cool what they did there. I'm just looking at for characters that also look dumb. I landed on Tingle at number 44. How do you guys feel about him compared to Tingle?
I mean, I'd probably Tingle's is dumb but simple. Titus is kind of all over the place. Who would you rather dress up as? I guess.
Well, they both look dumb. We can agree on that. It's not like who wore it best here, but which character is better?
I mean,
just as
Titus,
a whole.
Titus is better than Tingle.
Okay. So above Tingle, below Auron, that gives us like a good 14 characters to work with here.
Yeah, I think it's pronounced Tingle, actually.
Tingle.
What about right under Toad? Toad Jackson. Star of the Super Mario Brothers. I don't know if you ever played
last name's
games.
Jackson.
Yes, canonically.
That's true, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. See, even Reagan's mad about that.
I could see him below Toad Jackson, but I almost want to put him above that or above Conker even. Maybe between Conker and Crash. Is it crazy?
Yeah, like that's what I pitched, but in between Mimir and Crash. Like, so I think that's a good spot for him.
Okay. long as it doesn't go above Mimir. I think Mimir is great.
Sure,
And
we don't
from
need
what
to-
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mimir is great.
Yeah.
Mimir doesn't have to worry about a wardrobe.
True.
He's just a
Doesn't.
head,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the mascot for lids, I heard.
Above Crash, then, I think Crash surprisingly doesn't talk and still has a lot of personality, which is kind of cool.
He does say "whoa."
That's why we should rank him lower.
Yeah, I think we got a spot for Titus there.
So wait, under Crash or above him?
Above Crash, below Mimir.
Okay.
All right. The science has spoken. Crash is the new, Titus, whoever you are, is number 38 on our mastery list. You can check out that list, GameInformer.com, if you're interested. Great. That brings us to the next segment of the show, a little segment we like to call Get Wrecked. Everybody. Whoop, 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 whoop. Yeah, this is the segment where we recommend some stuff to check out on the website or in the magazine. I wanted to highlight, there's a Marcus, actually, you wrote a spoiler-free beginner's guide to Biomutant, which is worth checking out. If you're still interested in playing that game after hearing us talk about it, at least check that guide out to get some good tips on how to progress and what to do. Marcus, what about you?
Yeah, so Psychonauts 2 right now are a cover story on the website and I guess on our YouTube channel as well. We have our 114 rapid fire questions with Tim Schafer, which those videos are always a blast. And this is even better because Tim Schafer's such an entertaining personality. So definitely give that a watch. It's a lot of fun.
Watching it back, I'm like, we weren't here for anything besides Ben and Tim going at it in a duel of the minds. And I was here for it.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful
I would say, I think Tim still won.
Yeah. Through the power of editing, I think Tim turned out
Yeah, I mean,
pretty
I
good
watched
on
it live. He won.
that. Did you?
But yeah, Alex, what about you?
I was gonna also recommend the rapid fire, which is very good. I love editing those, but this one was extra special because both Ben and Tim came with their A game. But in staying with the Biomutant trend, we did a really I think a really fun stream. Right, we've talked about the flaws in Biomutant, but I feel like we had it was Marcus, myself, and Mr. Van Aken. And I think we all just went into it with a good sense of the game, but also a good, I don't know. It was just a good day. So we were feeling it. And I think it was really funny and a good time. So if you want something on in the background, but also want to check Biomutant out, definitely go check that out on the YouTube page. I would also quickly like to recommend that you go check out our Twitch page because we are exclusively streaming from Twitch these days. You better believe it. We're going to get hot tubs. We're going to get foot-long sandwiches for subs. It's going to be a whole thing. It's going to be great. You want to check it out. But
selling our bathwater.
Yep. It's going to be great. Extra Life, baby. We're coming. But no, so just so you guys know, we are officially we're not going to be streaming on YouTube anymore. But the archives of the relevant streams are going to head back to YouTube the next day. So
perfect.
Sure, check that out. Great. We have more information on the site, GameInformer.com, YouTube, the whole shebang.
And just for our audio listeners out there, Blake Hester is still here. Blake, anything to recommend?
Yeah, Ben, check it out. You heard this rapid fire with Tim Schafer? You heard of this thing?
No, what happened?
It's Alex Stadnick.
Speaking of rapid fire, Blake Hester, everybody.
Great host. No, the rapid fire was so fun. We sat in on that and it was so fun watching you two riff with each other. And I thought it came out great. Tim Schafer, a gem of a man. I don't know him personally. Maybe he's secretly.
Yeah, I guess we don't know personally, but yeah, he does seem like a very cool dude. So
yeah, publicly facing
and his family.
A gem of a man.
Yeah. Yeah, please go check that rapid fire out. Cool. Well, that brings us to the end of this segment of the show. Thanks, Blake, Marcus, Alex, for being on. We're going to take a break, but please stick around for that interview with the Deathloop guys. Welcome back, everybody. We're here with a very special interview. The game makers at Arkane, who are working on Deathloop. I have today Dinga Bakaba, who is the game director. How's it going, Dinga?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing good. It's what you guys are in France, so it's got to be quite a bit later out there than it is here. So you guys feeling ready for bed?
It's dinner time. So if you see my daughter running around with a hot plate, don't be shocked.
It looks delicious, I'm sure. And then also on the call, we have Seb Mitton, who's the art director on the game. How's it going, Seb?
Hi, Ben. I'm doing well.
Great. And then just FYI, if you're watching over video or listening, we do have a translator for Seb. Just FYI. How's it going, guys? We talked to you for the cover story we did with Game Informer a few months back, but since then it seems like the game's gotten a little bit of a delay, which is probably good for you guys. Are you guys excited when you hear about a delay? Or is it kind of like, oh, we got to work on this for several more months?
Well, good thing is that, we are excited about the game. I mean, that's because of that excitement that we pushed the game back. We wanted to make sure it really paid off in terms of the vision we have for it and the ambition we have for it. But at the same time, we didn't want to, crunch the team, and do some unreasonable hours or anything like that for that. So we are not going to sacrifice our health and mental health for making the best game possible, but we also don't want to sacrifice making the best game possible. So more time was discussed, and it was not an easy decision, but I think both, Sony and Bethesda agreed that, making the best possible game was the best possible outcome. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and congrats. I mean, the game is looking great. I just had an opportunity to see some early section of the game and really liking how it's coming along. I hope you guys are proud of it.
We are. I mean, definitely after we've been working on it a lot. This is like now the final stretch. It's really nice to see those things come together. And I have to say, being able to show it to someone else than you, because you were one of the few people who actually show, gameplay. So it was nice to show it to even more people and hopefully get feedback and read your previews. And we will be, it's always this moment because you're working on your game like this, and then you show a CG trailer, and then you're like, no, you still cannot see it, and then okay, now you guys can see it, and it's always a great moment.
For sure. And we've already done quite a bit of coverage on the game, but just in case people listening or watching and aren't super familiar with our coverage, do you want to give an introduction to the origin of the game, where you guys came up with the idea and what you hope to accomplish?
Sure. It's something that we started to work on after Death of the Outsider. We started exploring a few ideas. We knew we wanted to do something different, and on the publishing side, discussing with Todd Vaughn, he was also encouraging us to just explore various things and see if something got traction and stuck. And actually, this is the one that we got excited about. Everyone got excited about. It was bare bone, but then it was like enriched with a lot of great ideas, and yeah, we built this concept to what it is now. So I think the time loop is something that came early. We wanted to do, and why? It's because we wanted to do something where the player builds an affinity with the space and with the tools. Like we always make games with very rich levels and environments, and a lot of different powers, gadgets, possibilities, various ways to support different play styles, and people, me included, and me the first maybe, traverse them in a straight vector, whereas it's a space of possibilities. So it was nice to say, hey, wait a minute, what if we found a way to make something that you will build familiarity with and become the master of it, the same way those YouTubers are doing incredible things like, Has No Talent or Stealth Gamer or BR. Like they make incredible things with the game, but it's not only skill, it's also familiarity. They know those levels by heart and those, etc., etc. But without going there, the feeling of mastery when you have finished those games a few times is great. But we also early on said, yeah, but we don't want to make something super small that you replay a lot. That's also cool, but that's not what we wanted. We wanted to tell a big story, with interesting characters, build an interesting world with a lot of things to do and to discover. So trying to smash those two goals together, we ended up with the time loop, which is a way of the world itself repeats, but the player is going forward through a story and acquiring knowledge, discovering things, accomplishing objectives in a world that wants to stay the same, and they are the agent of change. And and I think it's been really interesting. And then came other things like the setting. Maybe you want to ask Seb about it, or the mechanics, the character, Court and Juliana, like all those things came organically from that first basis of, hey, what if we use time loop in order to explore the possibilities of our games. And
it's one of those things where the game is so complex, kind of from a high level. Like there's a lot of like different concepts in the game with like the time loop and how it works and the different like settings and the different people you have to take down. I guess, did you want it to be this complex when you started working on it? Did you know it was going to be this like complex and weird from a structural standpoint? Are you happy with that? What was the reasoning behind wanting to make it such a non-traditional campaign?
I think as soon as we started with this time loop idea, we knew it was going to be special. We knew it was going to be different, and that was definitely a goal, to try to experiment and do interesting things with the things we know that we've been doing well for a while now, which is intricate level design, this immersive sim design philosophy. We just wanted to do something different that hasn't been done before. And the way we approach our games is we try to ask a lot of questions and then we answer all of those questions. We try to not leave stones unturned, at least for us. We don't necessarily tell the answers in the game, but we have our own answers to all these questions, right? And I think in this case, we figured out that, like with, I suppose, almost every time loop story, it will have to be complicated. This world will have to be will be crazy, but we are going to try to make that accessible. Like, if we can make that accessible, it's kind of a challenge. And so it's interesting for us that all this complexity, to be fair, is really, most of the complexity is under the hood. This is us designers and programmers and all those people making a very complex game. But in the surface, you're playing a first-person shooter, following objectives, sneaking here, using gadgets there, and having this kind of AAA action game, first-person action game experience. But the structure is what gives it a lot of flavor and a lot of only in Deathloop moments, both in the exploration, the narrative, the gameplay, and all that. So really, that's making something that is very complex accessible is our kind of our mission statement anyway. Making AAA immersive sims. Those games are very complex, but they don't have to play. They are complex, but they don't have to be complicated. I don't know if that translates well in English.
Yeah. No, I mean, it looks complex in a good way in my mind. Yeah, I love how I keep saying weird. I mean weird in a good way. It's non-traditional.
Weird is great.
Yeah. So
we were going after weird.
yeah. I'm excited to get my hands on it. Seb, I'd love to pick your brain for a minute too. I think Arkane is pretty well known for a studio that makes games that are really interesting looking. I think Dishonored had a really cool style to it, and so did Prey. And I'm just curious, from your perspective as the art designer, when you were going in to create this game, what was your initial vision? And also, did you feel any pressure? Like, oh, we got to really deliver here in the art department because people, Dishonored was so cool looking. Like, how are we going to match ourselves?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ben. We always ask ourselves that question because whenever you get into the AAA zone, you have this pressure of, there's a competition, there's a lineup, especially when you've succeeded in the past. And I think we really delivered with Dishonored. Dishonored 2, I told you that we met, and I told you that I thought we could push the artistic side even further in the same theme. And here, we wanted to, we needed to refresh it within Dishonored. here we thought it would be interesting to step away and just get a new take on things for the teams, and so go elsewhere. And so this brought probably the complexity of the loop. These are challenges that we give ourselves every morning. We get up, we want to work, and then we just get taken off with these challenges. And it really ties into that question that you asked. Yes, there is some pressure, but it's positive pressure. It's just that we love doing it, and so we're a little bit crazy. We could keep it safe, play it safe, and just calmer, and not worry about it so much. But we really we have Arkane within ourselves, and we want everyone to be happy. The designers, narrators, narration, everyone should have something to build with. So when you see something 4 years later, it seems obvious. We spent a little bit of time explaining it, but when we're making it, we don't have any barriers. We have an open field, and it's sometimes hard to put our own barriers internally so that we don't go too far, so that we follow rules that we have set, and for 4 full years, so that the game, even though it might be weird and complex, it's coherent. That I'm not necessarily driven by technology. That's not what drives me. However, when you give me good technology, a good engine, that your PS5 exclusivity, wow, that's not what I'm looking for. But when I get the opportunity to show more, be more generous with interesting levels, because then I know that the designers and narration are going to have a blast. I know that the game is going to be even better. So it's true that I'm really happy. But when I start on paper, I work in a more classical way. I don't copy anything, and I just that every day you start inventing things. You don't know how it's going to be made. You know that you're going to get requests from other teams, and it's going to be really fun to make it. And after that, of course, the product is going to ship, and then you want the audience to love it as much as we love making it. And in this case, I've got to say, I'm not too worried. I think people are going to love it.
Oh, great. Yeah. No, it's good to have pride in your work. And from what I've seen, it looks great. I'm curious too. One of the things I really loved about in Dishonored specifically was, playing the game and then like using the different systems in the game to find creative solutions or creative kills or creative, puzzles. And you've talked about this game as like being one large sort of murder puzzle as you describe it. I'm curious if like during testing, did you guys have any of those situations where like, wow, I didn't ever in my wildest dreams expect that to happen? Like, can you remember any like things that surprised you about this game?
So, well, actually, I was surprised. Okay, it's weird because sometimes those are like super flashy things, and sometimes they are not. When I think probably a bit flashy thing that I did not expect was someone using, we have an upgrade for the shift power. It's the teleportation-ish power, where if you target someone and you press another button, instead of you teleporting, you change place with the other person. And they used it to throw, I think it was Juliana or something like that, into like out of a roof, so they just jumped into the void, aimed the shift and changed places, and she just fell to her death. Like that was like whoa, like whoa, it was amazing. That was really cool. And then I have like a small, a very, very small moment. Actually, people were playtesting the game. It was during a user test session, the last one that we did. Like it's quite recent actually, and it was the last day. Like maybe someone watches this video and they know it's them. So it was the last day, and I was like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to invade them and be the bad guy, because I knew they were on their way to finishing the game. Like that was like it was enough days, and I knew where they were. And then like, okay, I'm invading. Like I was told, don't invade them. Like let them play. And I was like, right. Like I will do that. So I tried. I spent one evening. Like it was very late. Like it was my whole night, and because of the time difference. But invading players, and one of them, it was really interesting. So I was standing in one location that we saw in the video. It's the edge of Alexis's mansion. So I was there, like kind of camping, nicely. And the player was very slow, very considerate, and they at some point they entered an open apartment, and I know the map. So I knew the exits to this apartment, and then very carefully they were like, because they know you're invaded when you're invaded, so they're like very careful, looking around. They start to exit the window, and as soon as they climbed on the window, blah, 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 I didn't have a very precise gun, but still, blah, 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 blah. Immediately they retreat into the apartment. I wait a little bit, like I almost sip a little cup of, sip a little bit of tea, and I'm like, okay, get out now. Then the person
sound like a gentleman assassin with your tea just hanging out there.
Oh yeah, I'm a gentleman's Juliana for sure. So they approaches. They again a second time, blah blah blah. I shoot to the window again, and then long time passes, and the person was probably wondering, how do I get to the other side of this apartment? How do I exit? And then suddenly, I saw the window close. Because in our game you can close and open windows from the inside, and sure. It's a small thing. Okay, it's a very small thing, but being able to use their just how can I say the affordance. It's a window. That guy is outside shooting at me. I don't know how to exit. You know what? I just close the window so they don't know what I'm doing, and they went to probably the other exit and whatever. It's a very small thing. But I didn't expect a behavior like that. I can't think of a game where a situation like that could happen, especially the long mind game of, are you going to exit? Are you not going to exit? Oh, I guess. Okay, that's one way to go. That's one way to ruin my plans.
Foiled by
with a window.
Yeah, no, that's smart, because that's what you do in real life probably. You'd be like, how do I make sure they can stop?
I don't want to be, that's what they do in movies. Like, there is a sniper. Yeah, cover the windows. Well, that's exactly what they did. That was interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome. It seems like time loops in general are having kind of a moment here. I'm curious if you guys, Returnal recently came out. Have you guys had a chance to check that game out? Do you guys look at other games and see what they're doing?
Yeah, we play, like, personally, at least I play a lot of games, and I've been playing a lot of Returnal for sure. Like this is probably like one of the two games I'm playing a lot right now. And by the way, thank you, Release Calendar, for having Returnal, Nier, and Resident Evil at the same time. Thanks, nice. So now I have to deal with that. Anyhow,
there's so much to play. And you gotta finish a game. Come on.
Exactly. I have to sleep sometime. But no, more seriously, yeah, I'm playing a lot of Returnal. I really appreciate the game. It's really cool. I think it plays really nice, and I really love how like I don't want to infer. Maybe I'm wrong, and there is a GDC talk, and the story is not the same. But it feels like they ask themselves, how can we bring our top-down, side-scrolling, bullet hell type of gameplay in the third-person perspective, and still retain some of that arcade DNA, where yes, it's hard, it's brutally hard. You're going to replay it again and again. Like, I mean, their games are not Metal Slug, but when I'm thinking of bullet hell, I'm thinking of Metal Slug. I played a lot of this game, super brutally hard. Loved it at the time, and but so it has this value, and maybe they ask themselves the question, hey, how do we make people okay with this repetition? And probably that's when they smashed it with some roguelike elements, and I think it works for me. I think they're doing like on a lot of aspects, I'm really happy that this game exists. It's really good, and I think it's really funny that Sony, like, because you might mention there is several, like I've seen the new trailer for 12 minutes recently, so there is various games that use time loops, but I appreciate the fact that Sony saw those two games and felt they were both unique enough and interesting enough that they could coexist in their lineup. Like, that's really a testament to how different those games are, and hopefully interesting those games are. Like that's actually, to me, when I played it, I was like, wow. The folks the portfolio folks at Sony definitely appreciated both for what they are, because someone else would be maybe confused, like, oh, 2 time loop games. No. But
no, we can't do that.
They
only 1 time loop, please.
Yeah.
Well, I know we're running kind of low on time here. If we have time for one more question, Seb, I would be curious. I know it feels like this game is wearing the James Bond inspiration on its sleeve. The music is just pitch perfect, James Bondian. And obviously, you got the 1960s setting, assassin, so it kind of fits. But I'm curious, from your perspective, if there's any other inspirations that you guys had going into the game that you think maybe are getting overlooked, or things that might surprise people that actually you were kind of like going for this.
Well, I mean, it's going to be hard for people, I think, to see all the different influences. People maybe who know 60s movies very well, who might say, oh, yeah, I recognize this little element. Because, yeah, it's not just visuals that come from the 60s, but also the music, like you said. The James Bond movies for us, they were a little bit too streamlined. We wanted to mix it with a little bit of Tarantino to make it kind of rougher around the edges. But among that frame, we added a whole lot of references, like The Avengers, the TV show, which is a bit crazy. So there's some investigating, but it's also funky. There's music. It's fun. The Prisoner as well. He's on an island. He has a number, and he's going through incredible experiences. That was really interesting for us as references. I told you about it previously as well for the cover story, was Point Blank. That's the ultimate reference for us. Lee Marvin. It mixes the perfect aesthetic. It's visually, it's perfect. The Lee Marvin's acting, he's so mad. It's kind of like Cult, even though Point Blank's foundation is a revenge. They got him, he went to Alcatraz, he's coming back for revenge. But this is the mad side of Cult. And that's how we have several different cults in the game. We have the depressive one, we have one who wakes up from a hangover, one who is mad once he gets his wits back, and he starts getting mad in the dialogues with Juliana. And we thought that the 60s, I mean, they inspired so much, but I'm not sure that people, if I don't talk about it, if they're going to recognize all these different elements. It's not that easy. But for me, the reason I wanted to do the 60s was kind of the 70s, where you had Interstate 77. There was so much funk in their dialogues with the characters. The music is epic. It's so cool, and it's done by a real band. And at the beginning, when we decided on the 60s, I remembered that. But yeah, lots of references. We have so many that have piled on one top of each other, but those are the most important ones.
Yeah, it's a nice looking stew of just a bunch of cool stuff, it seems like. So nice work. Yeah, the game does look really good, as we've said. So thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. I know we're kind of don't have a ton of time because there's a lot we could talk about in the game, but you guys got to get going because you got dinner on the table, Dinga. You got to go eat.
Yeah. I mean, there won't be cold. Much more when I get there, but
Oh, there'll be a few scraps left for you. Well, we got to let you get going. Any final words, final thoughts? When can people get their hands on the game?
Well, no, maybe a question for you. Like, how did you, like, you've seen the game a while back, like you've seen more different things, maybe a bit more of, moments where with Colt and Juliana. Like, how did you feel about, getting to know a little bit more about the characters?
Oh, yeah, it's great. And one thing, again, that we didn't touch on is just the dialogue with them, between them. It's nice to see, like, when we saw it for a cover story, a lot of stuff was out of context. And it seemed like the dialogue was good, it's well written, but it's hard because it was all out of context to know exactly what was happening. And now that we've seen a little bit more of the opening scene, to see how that story fleshes out, it's fun to see their back and forth and like Cole's quips of like, did we date? Like, just like the humor there is pretty solid. So I'm excited to see that narrative and how you guys tell that.
Yeah, it's something that I was just curious, but it's something that we definitely wanted to make is to have some humor in the game. Like this is something we decided. Like this is a game about an eternal party. It would be weird if if there was if it was like self-serious and one tone, one tone. You say, sorry,
one note.
Yeah, one note in terms of tone and self-serious and stuff. So it just didn't fit. So, and making humor in a big games like this, it's not easy, to be quite honest. But we wanted each of those dialogues to almost stand on its own and be interesting and flesh out the characters, the world, but also have a distinctive voice and also have characters that don't, well, that it's weird when you say it like this, but that don't talk like video game protagonists, like that's something that we did a lot of effort, and our narrative designer who also one of our narrative designers who also doubles our voice director that you talked to last time, Bennett Smith, did a great job with the casting recommendations, and I think the voice actors are fabulous. Jason Kelly, incredible as Colt, Ozioma Akaga, like a really, really great performance, because those characters would not work without a fantastic and stellar performance. So it's great that, Bennett has been a one-stop shop, sometimes, writing those lines, casting the actors, making the recommendations to us, and then directing them, making sure the emotion is tonally pitch perfect. And I think it shows, and this is something that I hope people really enjoy, but we definitely fell more and more in love with Colt and Juliana as it went, and we think they are great characters, and and some of those punchlines I've heard them several times myself, because the development of the games, some of them still make me smile each and every time. So I think it's great when you get there.
Awesome, cool. What about you, Seb?
Yeah, I wanted to thank you from the whole team, for all the artists, for what you did with Game Informer. It's not the first time that we've done.
You guys drew that
you.
cover yourself. Like you guys did all the work. I just presented it to the world.
But yeah, we spend a lot of time on concepts that are going to inform all our teams. And when comes the time to make an actual illustration, it often matches with the Game Informer cover. And it's hard to sum up a game with just one visual, and it's a big challenge. But every time, because since it's for the Game Informer cover, we put a lot of energy in it, and the team was really satisfied with that entire work. So yeah, I just wanted to thank you, because it's after that, it kind of forces us to sum it up, because it goes out so widely. It gave a really good visual.
Yeah, thank you guys I think it's one of our better looking covers too. And people can go obviously read more of the game online, GameInformer.com/Deathloop, if they're curious to read some of those interviews you guys just mentioned, and stay tuned later this year where they can get their hands on it.
Oh yes.
Cool. Well, thanks again, Seb and Dinga, for being on the show. We really appreciate it. And thank you out there for watching or listening to this episode of the show. Stay tuned. Come back next week, and hopefully we'll have another one for you. Till then, game on, everyone.